it's Carrie from the show. Today's topic is introversion. Let's get into it.
Welcome to Reticence and Reverie, a calm space for deep feelers, creative souls, and those that want to know them better. Joel and Carrie explore the beauty and wisdom of introspection, imagination, and intentional living. Get ready for compelling and vulnerable conversations on joy, creativity, and life, as well as considerate answers to your deepest questions. It's an invitation to pause, reflect, and feel inspired.
Hey, this is Reticence and Reverie again. Thanks for joining us. I'm Joel, your other host, and as Carrie mentioned, we're going to be talking about introversion today. So, how are you doing, Carrie?
I'm well. How are you doing?
I've been a little better. I've got the sniffles today, so I'm going to apologize ahead of time if I inadvertently do it into the mic. But I'm good otherwise. I'm fantabulous otherwise.
Good. So today's topic obviously is near and dear to our heart.
Very.
You are an introvert, correct?
Quite so, yes.
Yes.
Being, Myers-Briggs INFJ, I think both of us are.
Yep.
That labels me right off the top as an introvert.
Yeah.
Introvert. Introvert.
So we're going to get into it a little bit about introverts. So if you have people in your lives that you work with, family members, or you are an introvert, this is for you. So
I think it's kind of for everybody, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Introverts to understand themselves, extroverts to understand introverts. Because I'm, from personal experience, my take on that is that there's not a lot of understanding that goes along with the extroverted world.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you. And I think we should start with what is the definition of an introvert, right?
Yeah, that's a great place to start.
So it's a personality trait characterized by focus on internal thoughts, feelings, and moods rather than seeking external stimulation.
There you go. Yeah. I had a therapist once explain it to me because when I was young, I had that same thing that a lot of people have, like, oh, you're outgoing, you're an extrovert. You're shy, you're an introvert. And it's like, that's not what it's about. And I had him explain it to me this way. Extroverts get their energy from other people, whereas introverts get the energy from themselves and need to go away from other people to tap into it.
Yeah, that's part of it.
Yeah.
So the characteristics of introverts, and this is not stating that every introvert has each of these characteristics, but
Sure.
Every introvert does fall within one of these, at least one of them.
Great.
So they prefer writing over talking, enjoy solitary activities such as reading and writing. They thrive in quiet, calm, or structured environments, require time alone to recharge after social interactions. They prefer deep, meaningful friendships with fewer people. And they prefer observing before acting or speaking.
Check.
Yes. So it's not just where you go to get your energy. It's where you go to decompress. It's how you interact with the world.
Okay.
So
how you plug into the world, how you plug into other people and their role in your life.
Yes.
Maybe. Okay.
Yeah. So what was the first time, or maybe when you realized you were an introvert, or the difference between introverts versus extroverts?
I'm not really sure if there's a particular story. I do remember a time where I was spending a lot of time outdoors in my neighborhood with a lot of other kids, sort of like when I was like 6, 7 years old. And we were out playing baseball, we were out playing tag, we were out, playing hockey in the street, things like that. And I do remember just being out there all day, every day, or all the kids being out there all day, every day, and me having to come in sort of every 4 hours or so. I would come in for like an hour. And I would just come in and, I'd tell my mom I'm going to take a nap, which my mom was like, you want to take a nap? What? But I would just go to my room and I would just flip through books and stuff. And I'd play with my Legos quietly. And then I'd be like, okay, that's enough. And I would get up and go back out. Now at the time, I don't remember thinking there was anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
I just did it, but that's, retrospectively, that's a story I remember. So I think I was introverted from a young age.
Yeah,
So,
I think we had similar ages that we've kind of found out about that, right? So I think I was probably about 4 years old
okay.
the first time I was called shy,
Mm-hmm.
right? They
Yeah.
didn't use the word introversion back in the 80s.
No, quit being so shy. Why are you so shy? Come up here.
Yes.
Say hi to these people. Hug your grandma. Why are you being so shy? Sorry, she's shy. Yeah,
Yes.
all that stuff. Yeah,
And
I got that too.
I remember my mom telling this woman we were buying a crown for a Halloween costume, and the woman asking me something, and I would put my head down. I'd look at my feet, and my mom apologized on my behalf, saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, she's shy."
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, well, that's interesting, because I didn't feel shy per se. I didn't probably really grasp what that meant either.
Yeah.
And then as I got older, we used to go to the mall. And that was
Back when people did that.
That was the hangout place. And they used to do these things called craft fairs.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And they would set up tables in the middle of walkways, and there would be so many people. And I remember feeling extreme overwhelm. I was scared. I was upset. I didn't understand nervous systems. And there just were too many people. And I could not wait to get out of there. And other people around me seemed like they were calm. So I would kind of look at them and their persona and how they were handling it. And then I would try to calm myself down, like, okay, there's no reason to panic.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was the time that I kind of learned that I was, maybe a little different than some of these other people. But
yeah, that makes sense. I had some similar situations. I remember being at an air show with my father when I was probably about 4 or 5 years old. And I remember just him holding my hand through the crowd, but just being like, ugh. And, I'm sure there was a certain amount of that was the fact that I was, 2'1" and everybody else was 6 foot. But I mean, beyond that, I just remembered thinking there were so many people and I'm going to get crushed. And I was okay once my dad picked me up and put me on his shoulders because I was above it all. But I still remember being like, we still have to get back through all these people to get back to the car and get home. So that, similar sort of crowd story.
Yep. Well, that's the thrive in quiet, calm, or structured environments, and prefer to not be around large crowds of people.
Absolutely. But it took me a while to realize that there wasn't something wrong with me that I needed to overcome, and especially through high school where it's like, we're all going to these parties, go to the party. And I would just be fine for a while and then not, and thought there was something wrong with me. And I remember even saying to my mom once, oh, I must be coming down with something. I didn't want to be at the party.
Yeah.
And then she told me a story about my father, which was that my dad was always the life of the party for the first 2 hours, as an adult even. And then he couldn't be found anywhere at the party. But my mom would always find him in a back bedroom reading books. Like he would wander back into his study, pull a book off of shelf, start reading it, sit down in the chair and just be like, I'm back here for a while. And, that made me go, oh, this is a family thing. I didn't quite pull it all together, but, it made me start to think, oh, this is just the way I am versus something wrong with me. So.
Yeah, and I think that every introvert also has different social batteries too, right?
Oh, yeah, of course. There's different levels,
Right. So it depends for me the type of environment I'm in and the energy that's being given off. If it's positive, happy, everybody's there doing the same thing and it's orderly, I have a much larger battery.
Of course. Yeah.
If it's chaotic, if it's the mall at Christmas in 1992, not so much.
Hey, that's my parking spot. Yeah, I hear you. It's it definitely has to do with the energy that you're taking on from other people.
Yes.
And that the extroverted world is putting out there to you and sort of bombarding you with. And, it's certainly a lot easier to take hugs than punches, if you want to look at it that way, energy-wise. And yeah, like, negative, chaotic, just, hurried, scared, frustrated energy is a whole lot easier to take on and harder to deal with than loving, hugging, warm, friendly embrace
Right.
stuff. So
Right.
I didn't phrase that exactly right, but well, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, going to a wedding is always going to bring about more positive energy than a funeral, right?
Insurance seminar.
Yes.
Sorry, no offense to all you insurance people out there.
I deal in some insurance
Yes, you do.
aspects, so I have a right to do the snoring.
I was talking about you specifically, nobody else. I'm sure you guys are all wonderful, wonderful insurance seminar people, but Carrie's experience is not that. So anyway, moving on.
So how many people in the U.S. do you think are introverted versus extroverted?
Are we talking about numbers of people, like straight numbers, or are we talking about percentages?
Let's say percentage.
From my personal experience, I would guess somewhere between 20 and 33%. So I'm going to split the difference there and say like 28%.
Okay.
28% of the population.
So I looked at a few different places, right? Johns Hopkins estimates it at about 30%.
Okay.
MBTI is stating it's as much as 56%.
Oh, really? That's
Now, the numbers may certainly be skewed
yeah.
because introverts have a tendency to more look into things such as MBTI and take said quizzes.
Yes.
So it certainly can be a little bit more skewed.
Self-selecting audience there a little bit. Okay, fair enough.
And then WebMD comes in at anywhere from a third to a half.
Right. Okay.
So, 33% to 50%.
Sure. Okay. And I suppose that's also where do you draw the line on the introversion versus extroversion? Because I know that like with MBTI, you take the assessment and you get a certain amount of points either direction. And there's been a couple times I've taken it and I've been right on the borderline. And so I'm definitely further down the extroverted scale than you are.
Yes.
For instance, and I can take a lot more crowds and a lot more people and a lot more outside and that kind of stuff than you can. So where do I fall on their scale? I'm kind of in a gray area probably sometimes, and maybe I'm included in some and not the others. So I could see why
and
that might be
they're just
skewed.
now coming out with that new term called ambivalent.
Ah, yes.
And it's something that I think is going to be interesting. It really, INFJs kind of fall into that, right?
Yeah.
Where you get some enjoyment, some fulfillment out of that, but you still need your space to decompress afterwards. Yeah. You don't want to be just completely alone. I've known some introverts that if they had books and nothing else, they would be thrilled.
Oh, yeah. I can name some family members like that.
Yes.
Who will literally, just sort of like my dad, will disappear. But sometimes even first 10 minutes, gone. Yep. Where's John? Oh, he's in this room with the door shut reading his book.
Yes. And I was very much raised and around a lot of extroverts, that there was just always people around. And I think especially I'm the middle child between two brothers. And so a lot of times it was kind of easy for me to hide within the family and just not draw attention to myself. And I famously was kind of the photographer or videographer with the big giant camcorder on my shoulder.
That tracks.
Because it's always been easier for me to be behind the camera. And, I think that's...
How did we end up in the vocation that we
Anyway. How did we end up in photography, right?
Right.
I would guess that at the photography conferences, it's somewhere between 60 and 75% introverts.
Yeah. True. But again, that might be a self-selecting audience, being that a lot of introverts go, I don't want to do that. I'll just do it online, or I'll just do it on YouTube or whatever. And they just don't interact that same way. They think that's going to be overwhelming or whatever, and they don't go to conferences as much as extroverted people do, I would assume, too.
But with photography, I think there's just so many of us that are more comfortable behind the camera.
Oh, see, I went the other way. I was like, you're saying they're extroverts.
No,
Okay.
No. I mean, we definitely, we get the extroverts. It's an interesting experience as an introvert to interact with an extrovert.
Yes, quite.
We were at a conference. We were waiting for it to begin. And there was a guy that walked up to you and he just started sharing his entire life story.
Oh, yeah. Happens
Just,
a lot.
yes.
You're like, there's this one guy, and I was thinking, I can think of about seven at every conference.
No, at this particular conference, the guy came up, he had the loudest shirt on I've ever seen. And he sat next to you and just talked to you, told you his entire life story, what he did before.
Yeah, this was in Louisville, I think.
Yeah, and he got up and walked away, didn't even say goodbye, never saw him again. And as an introvert, it's confusing because here's this person that you're now getting some sort of deep emotional connection with when you're speaking to them. And for them, that's just a Tuesday.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and it's funny, and this is just my own or our own experience. And again, no judgment here, just observation. But, I was at a concert once, probably about a year and a half ago or so, a little longer. Big, huge stadium setting. Person who ended up sitting next to me talked the whole time to me during the songs, during the music, just, hey, blah, blah, did you see that sports game? Just that kind of thing. And just talked, told me about his kids, told me about who brought him to the concert, where he was staying, like all the stuff, everything, what the mileage he got on the car, like everything, and that's all kind of surface stuff. But I seem to recall him saying some stuff like, oh, well, I'm going through my third divorce and, that's hard and like deep stuff. And then literally just got up and walked away. And I remember thinking, okay, so it's quantity over quality, but I don't think that's necessarily quantifiable to all extroverts. But there is this funny experience that we as introverts have with extroverts, which is, I don't get it.
Right.
And they don't get me.
Right. And so, I think it's a good time to talk about some of those struggles that we face as introverts. So feeling drained after long, intense social interactions, we talked about, what's your battery? Your battery's going to be shorter for more intense interactions. I come back from my professional board conference after, 4 or 5 days, and I pretty much don't want to leave the house.
No.
I take a lot of time after that, even though it's good and positive and I like all the people, it's extremely draining.
Yeah, completely. That last one you came back was probably 6 days before you went outside again, I think. So
I need my time to recharge. So another struggle is overwhelm when in highly stimulating environments. That's the concerts. That's the mall at Christmas time. Yeah. Noisy, crowded, fast environments, right? Small talk can be exhausting for us. It can be a struggle. We don't necessarily understand it. Yeah. We all can gauge what the weather is. I think that's the number one thing that as introverts, we're like, we don't want to talk about the weather.
No, and I need a little bit, though. I don't need you to walk up and be just like, so, how's your marriage going?
Yeah.
I'd like somebody to like, hey, how are you? Oh, how long have you been standing here? Oh, are you standing here because this? Then now you can get into the deep stuff. But I don't sit there and just go on and on about how you got to this party, how you got to the wear pattern on your tires. I don't need to know how much coolant's in your engine. That stuff starts to get tedious.
Yeah. And then this one, I know I've dealt with over the years, and I'm curious if Joel has been through this process or any of you.
I'm going to probably say probably, but go ahead, lay it on me.
Being perceived as stuck up or standoffish. A lot of people
100%.
Confuse that. And it's so funny because once people get to know me, they love to tell me this. They're like, when I first met you, I thought you were going to be really stuck up. I thought that you were better than everybody. And you're just a really nice person.
Yeah.
And it's mind-boggling to me.
I used to get that at a lot of jobs, especially sort of, young adult stuff, when I, worked in restaurants and clothing stores and things. I always got that. Sort of 3 months into the job, people would start saying, I never knew you were this warm. I'm paraphrasing, but same thing. I thought you were conceited. I thought you were stuck up. I thought you were too good for, everybody.
And I think that comes with observing. I think that most people that are extroverted, and tell us if we're wrong, if you're an extrovert listening, They're basically perceiving that us observing instead of just reacting and interacting immediately means that we're not as sociable or we're not as approachable.
Or that we don't want to be there and that we're angry at them or don't
Yeah,
want any of
because
this.
introverts have never accused me of that. It's always been extroverts that kind of come at me thinking that I'm that way, and they learn real quick that I'm not. But
Right.
another struggle is overthinking.
Yeah, probably observing too much.
Yeah,
and thinking too much and getting ourselves into this quandary.
And then, there's always that feeling pressure to be more extroverted.
Yes.
I think that that's always there. There's been so many extroverts over time that's like, you just need to get out there. You just need to do it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's starting back with your parent being like, step forward and shake that person's hand that you just met at church or whatever. All the way up through, I remember just maybe within the last couple of years having a conversation with my sister where my sister's a very extreme extrovert. Both of them are in the best possible ways, but didn't quite grasp the introversion as being part of me and my personality. It was like she had this mission to fix me.
Yeah.
And I can fix you if I can do all this hard work and heavy lifting socially for you. So we're going to go to this party and I'm going to make it happy and a good place for you by introducing you to tons and tons of people. I will do the heavy lifting of introducing you so you don't have to introduce yourself because I know you're shy. So we're going to go and here's John and here's Jim and here's Sarah and here's Mary. And what she didn't get was that was completely overwhelming to me.
Right.
She was just like, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to fix what's broken with you and I'm going to pick up the ball and I'm going to help you run with it. And when we're on the other side of it, you're going to see how wonderful being extroverted is.
Yes.
And you'll be normal like me. I remember thinking, whoa, hold on, slow down. Like that's too much. And there's nothing wrong with me. This is how I am. I don't want to meet all those people.
Right.
I want to meet the one person or two people that are important to you and get to know them sitting over there on the couch quietly. I don't need to meet every single person that your daughter sold, Girl Scout cookies with 5 years ago.
Right.
That you haven't seen. That's fine. I'm happy to meet them, but it's just, you've got to understand that that's not, don't throw 1,000 softballs at me and be like, but I threw softballs.
Yeah. It's not a thing to be fixed or a deficiency in any way. We're just a little different.
Yeah.
And it's important that we celebrate the differences. We just talked about the struggles, but there's also superpowers too, right?
Yeah.
So we are deep thinking. Most introverts I know, if they're going to do something, I guarantee you they've thought of every reason not to do it first.
Probably. Yeah.
They've spent the time thinking it through, which means that they have more reflection. Our energy is a little more focused on things. It's not being pulled in a million different directions because we're maintaining an extreme amount of social interactions. We have a tendency to be exceptional listeners.
Yeah, I have always gotten that.
Yes.
In a good way. You're such a good listener.
I know. I have people tell me all the time. They'll tell me their life story and they're shocked. They're like, I've never told anybody this before.
I get that too.
Because we're listening. We understand that people who are speaking want to be heard. And we make sure that we're doing that because I think all of us have been in a room before where we start speaking and either nobody's paying attention or somebody else starts speaking and it goes unnoticed and unheard.
Well, the guy at the concert, he did not, I bet he walked away and he couldn't tell you one thing about me.
Yeah.
He didn't stop long enough to listen to me, let alone give me the space to talk. So, yeah, of course, we're automatically sort of put into a position of wanting more, wanting to be heard and understood more. Because in a lot of cases, like this one, didn't get my chance.
Right. The squeaky wheel gets the oil. So extroverts, even if they aren't more than 50% of the population, if they're more likely to speak out and put their needs out there of being seen and heard, people who are maybe less adept to do that go without being seen and heard.
Right.
So we spend the time and energy making sure that others don't feel that same pain we feel.
Totally, yeah.
We're great problem solvers. It's stated that we are higher in emotional intelligence because of what I just said.
Yeah.
If your needs aren't being met and you're trying to make sure others are, your emotional intelligence, your understanding of what people need and what your needs are going to be a little bit higher, right?
Sure.
We have a tendency to be more creative, more calm and thoughtful, what does come out of our mouths.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really, really interesting because I have been in leadership positions for quite some time. And I always thought my introversion was maybe more of a detriment than it was a helpful skill.
Sure, yeah.
When you're in management and managing people.
Right. Of course. Step right up there. Grab the reins. Show them who's in charge here.
So speaking of being more thoughtful in leadership as an introvert, there's a book that really helped me when I did start going through the process of being in management and understanding the difference between introverts versus extroverts. And there's a book called Quiet, The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking.
Okay.
And that's by Susan Cain. And it came out some time ago, but it still is really interesting. If you have not read this book, if you are an introvert.
I have not, so I should probably do
highly recommend it.
All right, and I guess we'll put a link to this in the show notes, so be sure to check that out.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, me included.
So Susan Cain quotes this study to see if introverted leaders or extroverted leaders were more effective.
Okay.
And they're basically talking about folding shirts for this study.
Meaning?
That they have it set up where there's a team that needs to fold shirts. There's two teams that need to fold shirts. One set has employees that have initiative. The other ones they refer to as passive employees.
Okay. So self-starters versus the people who sit back and wait to be told what to do.
Right.
Theoretically.
And the reason that this is important is because they can't answer the question without looking at the employees. That was the largest factor.
Okay.
Okay. So in this, introverted leaders with employees that had initiative outperformed extroverted leaders in any other position by 24%.
Really? So even extroverted leaders over self-starters? They still led. Wow. That's interesting.
And that is because they stated that introverted leaders are 20% more likely to take and implement suggestions from employees. And that makes all the difference. So our superpower as leaders is to listen.
Listening.
When I'm leading my team, I am always asking for their input, their suggestions, because they're the ones that are handling the day-to-day in and out, and they might see something that I'm not getting. They might have a better process.
Right.
And we're all better off if we work together and problem solve together.
Right, right.
So I thought that
Makes
was really
sense.
interesting because I really did have this whole idea in my head. And I think that other people have that idea in their head. They see somebody who's introverted and they think, well, they can't lead people. And that's not true. We just have certain areas that we're going to excel in.
Yeah, yeah. And you're not going to lead the way, or we're not going to lead the way that other people, more extroverted people lead, you know, maybe good and bad, as we've been talking about, but you're just going to be different. And just because you are not going to hop up on the podium and yell and scream and motivate like that way, you're going to do it quietly behind the scenes in a way where everybody comes into your office and you say, what can I do to help you individually? And that's going to motivate them versus, rah, rah, let's do all this. You know,
Right.
You know.
And I think that it's funny with my life coaching too, is that a lot of people, when they hear that I'm a life coach, when they've known me for other things, they think it's a little surprising. And that's because of the Tony Robbins of the world.
Right.
You know, I love him. This is definitely no shot at him whatsoever.
Yeah.
He
No shade,
has
Tony.
so much energy and he brings this excitement for life. And I love him for it. That is never going to be my wheelhouse.
No, me either.
I'm never going to run around on a stage and do jumping jacks and jump up and like fist pump. You know, that's not my energy.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that it makes me or anybody else who is a life coach worse, or it's a different way of doing things. Mine is more on a one-on-one basis, getting to know people, understanding, using that deep thinking, using, my analytic skills to bring it all together, because I might not be able to motivate a crowd of thousands.
Yeah.
But if I can make a difference in that one person's life, it's of similar importance.
Yeah.
The self is just as important as the group.
Oh, very, yeah. That resonates with me as well. Very much so. So, and I'm sure it resonates with a lot of people out there.
Yes.
All right. Well, all this talk of introversion has me wondering, are there any famous introverts? I mean, I can think of a few that I would assume are, even though he was a famous fighter and drinker and womanizer, I feel like Ernest Hemingway was probably an introvert because he spent a lot of time alone doing artwork and writing.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing here, but I'm just wondering how many more there are.
So I don't have him on the list, but some famous introverts are Abraham Lincoln.
Okay. Yeah, that tracks.
Albert Einstein. Rosa Parks.
Okay.
And then more recently, Steven Spielberg.
Okay, really? That one's surprising to me.
Behind the camera, people.
Well, I suppose so. I know that directing major motion pictures like he does, that you're working with huge teams of people, and it just seems like he's going to be there long hours all the time and probably doesn't get a lot of time to himself. I thought that's a little interesting. All right.
Yep. Keanu Reeves.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
Clint Eastwood.
Another director. Okay.
We're going back to Michael Jordan.
Really? Okay.
And Emma Watson. Those are some famous introverts.
Okay. Well, there you go. Okay. Well, fantastic. So we and you are not alone out there in the world.
We're everywhere.
Yeah. And see, nothing should stop you either.
Yes.
There you go. Yeah. And in fact, I think we probably have some questions along the lines of introversion. So
yeah. So we are almost done with our website. Hopefully by the time that this is released, we're going to have the website up, and there's going to be a place for you to ask your most pressing questions.
Absolutely. And you can either do that via web form, which is completely silent, and you can ask the question and we can respond to that directly to you and only you, or we can read that on the air and respond on the air. Just tell us what you'd like. And there'll be a place where you can actually talk back to the show by recording for us. And we can, again, just answer you back individually. Or if you want, we can play it on the show and everybody can hear the answer. So just let us know. And that stuff will all be up on the website, and we'll point you towards that when we get that launched, probably on our next episode, but we're getting there very close now. So
yeah. So in the meantime, I did reach out to my community and asked, hey, do you have questions on introversion?
Yeah.
And if so, are you an introvert or an extrovert?
Right.
So the first one comes from an introvert, and her question is too much introversion / alone time bad?
all right. Well, I will give you my answer. My impression is it can be. I mean, certainly, if you just went complete hermit and just went off to Antarctica and you were out there alone for 2 to 5 years, I think you would go a little crazy. I think everybody would, no matter how introverted you are. That said, there is somewhere in there, in between that and seeing people every day, that is your personal set point. And you need to find that, and then you need to stay within that, the bounds of that.
Finding the balance.
Right, finding that balance for you. And again, your balance, Carrie, is different than my balance, certainly. And so it's going to be different for everybody, So, but yeah, too much introversion can be a bad thing, but too much extroversion can be just as bad, if not worse.
Yeah, and I think that the best way to look at this is if you go back to our loneliness podcast, the first one that we did, we kind of really dove into this.
Definitely.
Introverts don't need as much interaction, but we do still need some.
Yeah.
It just needs to be deep and meaningful.
Yes.
So if you remember, it's 1 to 2 people
That's right.
on average each day.
Right. And that's meaningful. We're not talking about the lady at Starbucks.
Right.
I mean, unless she is your best friend.
And
but
and I also allow for seasons. I talk about seasons a lot. And I think we have different seasons in our life. For instance, when I was a teenager, I was a lot more extroverted.
certainly.
There's times that it's, maybe wintertime and I'm not having as many interactions, but then I feel like it in summertime. I want to go to those concerts. And so I think it really comes down to if you can't find that balance. As an introvert, it's important for you to find where you're not only comfortable, but that you are still having those meaningful interactions as you need to make sure that you're maintaining healthy community.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Having no community is not good for anybody.
No.
It doesn't matter the type of person. Some people can go longer than others, but nobody should and can be doing this alone. We are, for whatever reason, wired to need other people, other human beings, and other interactions.
And I think it goes the other way too. You have to find your boundary the other way too, and not feel like I have all this pressure to be more extroverted. I have pressure in my family, in my job, in my friend group, in my community to be doing all these things, I have to have my kids out there on the street doing, trick or treat, and then I have to take them to a party, and then I have to, you need to know where your balance is that way, and then have healthy, respectful boundaries of that. And sort of so you can stay in your zone. But I think it takes a little while to figure out your zone. And you'll know it by trying things out.
Yeah, and we'll talk about emotions at some point too. But just counting on your emotions is your roadmap.
Yes. Yeah.
That's going to be the best way to look at it. If you go out and you have a wonderful time and you did more extroverting and you're surprised, but it's, you feel really good about it. Don't say, well, I'm an introvert, so I need to follow that, honor that emotion. If you go out and you feel really overwhelmed, honor that too.
Right.
And that's the way to course correct in real time is using those emotions, those feelings as your roadmap of what you're comfortable with.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. All right, so next question.
So the next question we have is, I'm extroverted, but I have introvert friends, and I'm confused if I should keep inviting them or not.
Absolutely.
Yes, I would agree that I think don't exclude them. Give them the choice.
Yeah.
And not just the choice to come or not come, but don't put the social pressure on them if they need to honor their feelings, if they get overwhelmed. And if they just show up for a little bit just to say, hey, I'm here.
Or even if they don't. And even if they don't come to the 9th party you've invited them to for the 9th time they don't come, it's okay to keep inviting them because you, A, want them there, presumably, and B, it's nice to be invited.
It is.
It's
and,
nice
and
to be
not
told
taking
you're
it.
wanted.
I think that's the hard
included.
part, right, is not taking things personally sometimes.
Correct. Yes, 100%.
And I think a lot of people, especially extroverts, think if they cared, if they wanted to, and it's just not that situation. If they are your friend and they're filling some form of liquid in your cup, they should be allowed to be invited, allowed to not show up or have that limited interaction and just love them anyways.
Yes, exactly. And if they do show up and they end up in the back room looking at books, it's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Just make sure you have a room and books ready. No, I'm kidding.
You can set up an introvert corner at your party.
Yeah, there you go.
If you put animals and books there,
yes.
They will have the time of their lives. I'm going to make this a thing.
Yes, 100%. You can even put it on the invitations, complete with introversion room, and extroversion area,
an introversion experience.
There we go. Yes, I love it. I love it.
Throw a soft blanket in there, and we're never going to leave.
So maybe you don't want to do that 100%. Comfortable, but not too comfortable. We're going to stay.
Well, if you wanted to come and stay.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, this has been such a great topic.
Yeah, I really like it. We've gone quickly through it, but I think it's because it's easy for us to talk about. And, Well, good. I think that's another successfully answered question, I suppose. And I think that's probably it for today, right? We don't have any more.
Yeah. I think this does that overview of what an introvert or introversion is. We're going to get deeper into some other parts of it. Like I really want to dive into MBTI and speak directly to fellow INFJs. So the I is for introversion. So we're going to get deeper into that and in the nuance of that.
Yeah, and there's going to be a lot of other topics that brush up against this or, overlap with this. And so this is going to be sort of an ongoing thing. And a lot of the stuff we keep talking about here at the beginning is kind of giving context to the broader discussions that we're going to go into later. So this is one we wanted to talk about ahead here because this is a big factor in people and who they are, introversion versus extroversion. That's a big part of who people are, and that kind of informs us moving forward into all these other topics.
Yeah. So hopefully we've answered a lot on your introversion, friends, families, introversion.
Yeah.
And if you have further questions, definitely reach out.
Absolutely.
We're happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Absolutely. So would you like to take us out for today with the quote as usual?
Yes, I'd love to.
What is a quote for today?
So this is from Lori Helgoe, Helgoe.
I do not know her.
And she says, let's clear one thing up. Introverts do not hate small talk because we hate people. We hate small talk because we hate the barrier it creates between people.
Hear, hear.
I think that is so well said.
That's very eloquent. Yeah, and precise. That's exactly the case. 100%. Lori? Did I get that right? Thanks, Lori. And we'll put something into the show notes about her too as well. So you can look out for her, be on the lookout for her as well. And I think that kind of does it for us. So goodbye from us.
For now.
Just for now. Yeah, we'll be back again soon with our next episode. And I'm not sure do we have one yet?
Yeah, and our next one is going to be Finding Purpose.
All right, Finding Purpose next time. So keep an eye out to the socials or wherever you found out about this podcast and look for the next one soon. All right, cheers. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.
Hello, everyone. As Carrie and Joel bid adieu to another episode, they wanted you to be aware of a couple of things. The information provided in this podcast is for general informational and entertainment purposes only. Nothing discussed should be interpreted as professional advice, including but not limited to legal, financial, medical, or mental health advice. Listeners should always consult a qualified professional for guidance specific to their individual situation. All opinions expressed by the hosts or guests are their own and do not represent the views of any organizations or employers. While efforts are made to ensure accuracy, the hosts make no guarantees and assume no responsibility for any errors or omissions, nor for any actions taken based on the content of this podcast. Listening to this podcast does not create any professional relationship between you and the hosts. All content is provided as is, without warranties of any kind. If you choose to rely on the information in this podcast, you do so at your own risk. Thanks for listening and be well.